Constitutional Court has agreed to hear Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo's application today for a contempt ruling coupled with a 2-year prison term against former President Jacob Zuma. Now, the Commission has asked the court to impose a prison sentence on the former president, who has been implicated at least by nearly 40 witnesses who have testified at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. That particular standoff between the former president and the Commission of Inquiry into state capture is the subject of my conversation now with legal expert Benedict Phiri. Mr. Phiri, thank you very much for your time. I want to start off with what is quite obvious right now, and that is that the former president is not contesting. He's not opposing this application that has been taken to the Con Court on the contempt charge. What does this mean? Is it a foregone conclusion that the former president will possibly be going to jail over the next 2 years?
Thank you, Crowley. I think it definitely means that the Commission's arguments will basically go uncontested at the Constitutional Court. And what that means is that unless there are serious legal issues with the arguments being put forward, the Constitutional Court will just have to take that what they put forward is actually fact. Added to now the question of whether he'll be going to prison. For certain, it is clear that the former president is in fact in contempt because he actually hasn't contested that, and the facts definitely point to the fact that he did receive the order and he actually is willfully defiant of the order. Therefore, there will be a finding of contempt. I think it will be a question for the Constitutional Court to weigh up whether he should go to prison and for how long he'll be going to prison. The Commission has raised very strong arguments to suggest that in the former president's case, there is absolutely aggravating factors that seek to erode the rule of law, and for that reason, he should be put in jail for 2 years.
Benedict, then the intricacies inside court. I'm just trying to look ahead to 10 o'clock as we approach that hour. So if the former president is not contesting this in court, does that mean that we're only going to have the lawyer that is arguing for the commission standing up and putting the commission's case before the judges of the Con Court, or might there be an argument from the former president's lawyer's side? I'm simply curious about whether or not his lawyers will even be present in court.
It's unlikely that his lawyers will be present in court. If they wanted the leave of the court to address the court, they would have at least had to put a document in front of the court explaining why they would want that to be the case. And they've had ample opportunity to do so. So if they surprised us all and rocked up in court today, I think that would certainly raise the ire of the justices. So, you know, the likely procedure today is that we're likely to see the Commission's counsel go through the arguments that they have submitted as well as their application and indicate why they believe that the Commission is entitled to the relief that it seeks in the application.
Yeah. Mr. Phiri, something very interesting was said by the former president, and I'm trying to remember exactly the words he used in that statement, and that was that should you defy a commission of inquiry that is set up in line with the laws of the country, that is the Commissions Act, you either get a fine or, if my memory serves me, it's a 6 months prison term. Am I recollecting properly here? Why then would the State Capture Commission of Inquiry insist on a particular 2-year prison term, which is a departure from what is prescribed in law? Because this is what I think the former president also seems to point out, that, you know, look at what they are doing. It's exactly what I have been arguing, that they are violating my rights.
So there is a distinction between what is happening at the Constitutional Court and what would have been the case had the Commission decided to proceed with charges under the Commissions Act. So had the Commission decided to proceed with charges under the Commissions Act, then definitely the 6-month imprisonment and the fine of, I think, £250, whatever it is, would have been in play. But in this instance, the Commission is saying, what is actually at stake is that the former president defied a court order of the Constitutional Court, right? So we're not talking about the Commissions Act. And that is such a serious defiance, because it goes right to the heart of the rule of law and the underpinnings of our constitutional democracy, that we require a draconian punishment for him. And they support this contention by saying, well, he's breached provisions of the Commissions Act on numerous occasions, and if you had to take each of those breaches and add them up, he would be facing up to 4 years in jail. So the 2 years that they're requesting is actually quite lenient in view of the fact that, he would have a more severe punishment had this proceedings been undertaken under the Commissions Act.
Yeah. Finally, Mr. Phiri, what kind of lesson here should the Constitutional Court accede to what the Commission of Inquiry is asking for, and that is that a 2-year prison term be imposed on the former president, given his standing in society? The very reason we call him a former president tells you what his stature is in society. What kind of lesson are they trying to drive home for you and me, who might be tempted in the near future to try and do what the former president is doing, which is to defy the court orders?
I think the Constitutional Court is in a very good situation, in the sense that, the rule of law is being vindicated. And I think what this matter is showing is that it doesn't matter who you are. It is important to this country and our constitutional democracy that the laws are upheld, as well as decisions and orders of the courts. So, to the extent that any of us may be thinking that we'll take our chances and not adhere to a court order, I think, what the Constitutional Court is likely to rule in this matter will be a strong deterrence against that.
Benedict Phiri, thank you very much for your time and indeed your insights. Legal expert talking to us about the case that's about to go before the Con Court. 10 o'clock is the time, and we will take you there live as soon as proceedings get underway. Well,